My cousin insisted on announcing her covert marriage at my reception after I had to postpone my own wedding to accommodate my pregnant sister. When I declined, chaos ensued. I'm Tanya, a 31-year-old woman, and I'm now amidst a family conflict that has been building for several months. You must be somewhat aware of my family history in order to comprehend the circumstances. Lester, 35M, Rachel, 33F, myself, Nancy, 28F, and Zoe, 25F are my 4 siblings. Sarah, 58F, and John, 60M, reared us in a tiny town where everyone knew each other's business. I come from a large, close-knit family. During family get-togethers and vacations, I was usually the one in charge, taking care of my younger siblings and cousins. Our family tree is just as large. My dad has 4 brothers and my mom has 3 sisters and 2 brothers. With cousins, second cousins, and even third cousins present, family reunions resemble mini celebrations. While often hectic, it's enjoyable. However, as the oldest grandchild on both sides, I frequently found myself occupying the smaller children instead of taking pleasure in the celebrations. My world completely collapsed 3 years ago when I lost my husband Ethan in an automobile accident when he was 34 years old. We had been infatuated in high school, got married immediately following college, and had 2 adorable kids, Emma, who is 10 years old, and Liam, who is 8 years old. Not only was Ethan's passing tragic for the kids and me, but it also affected our entire town. He had been a well-liked coach and instructor in high school, influencing a large number of lives. Jake, Ethan's 33-year-old childhood friend, provided our ray of hope during that difficult period. Before their lives diverged, Jake and Ethan attended the same college and had been best friends since kindergarten. About a year before to Ethan's injury, Jake returned to our town in search of employment, which led to the rekindling of their bond. In ways I never anticipated, Jake came through for me after Ethan passed away. When I was too stressed, he assisted with the kids by driving them to sports practices and school. He made repairs around the house that I was unaware even needed to be made. Above all, he was there to sit in quiet comfort when words failed me, or to listen when I wanted to communicate. Jake and I came to the realization that our love for one another had transcended friendship about 96 months after Ethan's death. Neither of us had anticipated or planned for it. We were both apprehensive because we were concerned about the opinions of people and how it might affect the children. However, after numerous lengthy discussions, including ones with the grief counselor, we made the decision to give it a shot, requesting their approval before disclosing our relationship to the public. They were supportive, which was a comfort. Linda, Ethan's mother, 62F, gave me a hug and expressed her satisfaction that I had discovered happiness once more, adding that she knew Ethan would want the same for me. We then told my family and the children after getting their okay. There were differing responses. Lester, my brother, offered his quick support, expressing happiness that I had found someone who looked out for me and the kids. My mom had doubts, but overall, I could tell my parents were cautiously optimistic. Despite their initial astonishment, Rachel and Zoe immediately warmed up. But Nancy was quite chilly about the notion. My biggest concern was how the children would react. Emma, who is always wise beyond her years, acknowledged that she had suspicions and said that, as long as we didn't anticipate her calling Jake Dad, she was fine with it. Liam was more perplexed and was asking questions regarding the implications for our family. We reassured them both that Jake loved us and wanted to be a part of our lives, not that he was attempting to take Ethan's place. In the ensuing 18 months, Jake developed into a vital member of our family. He never pushed the kids and was always there for them when they needed him. He was patient with them. Even though baseball had always been Ethan's passion, he began coaching Liam's little league team. At first, this worried me, but it ended up being therapeutic for all of us. Jake made a proposal around Christmas last year. He was aware that I didn't want to make big, showy gestures in public. Rather, he took out a ring and asked me if I would marry him after the kids went to bed and we had finished our small family Christmas meal. Without hesitation, I answered sure. After careful consideration, we opted for a small, private June wedding just 6 months away. Taking into account the feelings of the kids and my former marriage, we wanted to keep things low-key. Only close friends, personal family, and a handful of Ethan's relatives who had stayed in touch with us would be invited. Everything was going well until Nancy, my younger sister, revealed she was expecting. Tom, a 30-meter man, and Nancy had been trying for years. They had endured 2 difficult miscarriages, and it was thought to be a high-risk pregnancy. The news naturally made the family very happy. Everyone was first thrilled about both incidents. But as time passed, I became aware of a change in my family's perspective. My mother began implying that we need to put off getting married. She claimed that, considering Nancy's fragile health, it wasn't fair for Nancy to have 2 significant family gatherings so soon after one another. I clarified that there was no way for us to postpone because we had already reserved the location and sent out invitations. When Nancy contacted me sobbing, things got really serious. Claiming that I was taking credit for her efforts, and that everyone would be too preoccupied with my wedding to be interested in her baby shower. It stunned me. Nancy and I, despite our age difference, had always been close. She used to follow me around like a shadow when she was tiny, and I used to always watch out for her. I informed her that there was still plenty of time for both celebrations because we had planned our wedding before she announced her pregnancy. My siblings began to pick sides as well. Lester affirmed my decision, telling me I shouldn't have to alter my plans. However, Rachel and Zoe supported Nancy, calling me egotistical for not taking her sentiments into account. Rachel even mentioned that I had previously been married, giving the impression that this wedding wasn't as significant. Last week, during our monthly family meal, the problem reached a boiling point. Since as long as I can remember, our grandmother had instituted these supper rituals as a means of maintaining family ties. They were usually filled with catching up, laughing, and delicious food. However, this one was unique. Nancy disclosed that her doctor advised bed rest for the final month of her pregnancy due to possible difficulties. She might not be able to make it to our wedding because of this. I received accusations rather than compassion. My mother proposed that instead of having a formal wedding, we should have a courthouse ceremony instead. She accused me of being callous and implied that my concern for attention-seeking outweighed my sister's well-being when I declined. In an attempt to compromise, Jake suggested that if Nancy was unable to attend, we could stream the ceremony live. My family, however, disregarded this notion, claiming it wasn't the same. They insisted that I wait to get married after the kid is born if I really cared about family. I was hurt and furious when I left the dinner in tears. Jake and I have spent a great deal of time, money, and effort organizing our wedding. Before Nancy was pregnant, we decided on a date that would work for everyone. I feel like I'm being penalized for an entirely uncontrollable situation. Next day, I got a call from my dad. In the family, he has always been the mediator, the serene presence amid any tempest. He acknowledged that I had a point, but he urged me to think about Nancy's feelings. He told me stories about teaching Nancy how to ride a bike and how I used to let her sleep in my bed when she had nightmares, which brought back memories of how close Nancy and I had been. He advised me to have a private conversation with her to resolve the issues. To be honest though, I'm not sure if I want to right now. I adore my sister, and I'm overjoyed to have an aunt. However, I don't think it's reasonable to anticipate that I will stop living. I've waited patiently with Jake. Given the kids' adjustment and my grief process, we're prepared to begin our new chapter together. Liam and Emma are also looking forward to the wedding. Liam is putting a lot of effort into his ring bearer practice, and Emma has been assisting me with choosing the decorations. It has been amazing to watch them grow closer to Jake over the last 3 years. They have both matured tremendously. I can't resist wondering what Ethan would say in this situation. He constantly inspired me to advocate for myself, even in the face of family. However, he also placed a high priority on maintaining family peace. I'm not sure if I'm being too stubborn or if I should be strong in respect of his memory. Is it unfair of me to want to hold on to our wedding date? At Nicholas Bone, should I give in to the pressure from my family? I can't decide whether to maintain the peace or stick to my principles. I would be grateful for any guidance. Update 1: A lot has transpired since my last post, which was approximately a month ago. I would want to thank everyone for their guidance and support. It was a huge help in putting things into perspective for me. I made the decision to speak with Nancy face-to-face after reading a lot of comments. When Tom was at work, I asked her over for lunch in the hopes that we could converse without distractions or outside influences. I had spent the morning preparing my grandmother's chicken pot pie, Nancy's favorite dish. I thought it could help break the ice because it was something I used to make for her throughout her difficult high school years. Nancy appeared worn out and anxious when she arrived. It was obvious that the pregnancy was wearing her down. When we first sat down to eat, the conversation was awkward and stiff. We avoided talking about the big issue at hand and instead struck up a conversation about the weather and her pregnancy symptoms. Finally, I brought up the wedding as we were wrapping up our dinner. Nancy was guarded at first, but as we spoke, she started crying. It appears that she has been experiencing a great deal of pregnancy-related anxiety. She was scared that she wouldn't conceive this time around because her prior attempts had ended in miscarriages. Her anxieties had been increased by the doctor's warning about probable consequences. However, it went beyond that. Nancy told me she thought she was living in my shadow. She clarified that she had always thought of me as the ideal older sister, responsible, accomplished, married, and having children. She acknowledged that her personal insecurities played a role in how she reacted to the wedding. She confided in me that she felt like she was always catching up. Nancy had asked our parents to allow her to work too, despite the fact that she was only 13, when I started my first job at the local library when I was 16. Nancy had cried for days when I got into the college of her dreams, fearing she will never measure up. She felt like she was falling behind in life, even after my marriage to Ethan and the birth of our children. I was taken aback. This was not how I knew Nancy felt. Nancy, to me, has always been the family free spirit. She pursued her interests without regard for traditional success. I opened up to her about my own troubles, including the loss of Ethan, the difficulties of being a single mother, and my anxiety about getting back into a relationship with Jake. I told her about the evenings that once the kids went to bed, I would cry, feeling isolated and overburdened. I'll admit that there were moments when I wished she had more freedom to follow her ambitions free from the obligations I carried. We shared tears, and for the first time in a long time, I felt like I had a real relationship with my sister. Nancy expressed her want to support my wedding and apologized for her actions toward the end of our conversation. Even when she was in bed, she offered to help with some of the preparation she could do from home. We dreamed about our future nuptials, just like we used to do as teenagers, and spent the rest of the afternoon browsing wedding magazines and websites. Inspired by this realization, I made the decision to speak with my mother. The following day, after dropping the kids off at school, I invited her over for coffee. Mom has always been a fierce, independent woman with strong opinions. However, she appeared more aged and fatigued than I had ever seen her when she sat at my kitchen table, holding her coffee mug tightly. I shared my viewpoint and Nancy's feelings. Mom paid attention, and even though she didn't quite agree with me, she was more perceptive of my perspective. She opened up about her personal worries about Nancy's pregnancy, acknowledging that these worries played a role in her desire to put off the wedding. We spent hours discussing personal history and deeply held beliefs. Mom told me tales of her own sisters, of the miscommunications and jealousies that had molded their bonds through the years. She consented to give up her demands for a postponement and assist in mediating with the other family members. Just when things looked promising, there was another issue. Jake's parents, who are abroad, contacted to inform him that his father had to have emergency surgery, thus they would not be able to attend the June wedding. They requested that we think about rescheduling the event for August, when they could make the trip. Jake and I spoke about this for a while. We were reluctant to give in to my family's pressure, on the one hand. However, we both agreed that his parents' presence was crucial, since he made the decision to follow his own career path, rather than join the family business. Jake and his parents have not had a good relationship. This wedding offered the possibility of peacemaking, and we did not want to pass up the chance. We debated for a long time before deciding to move the wedding to August. Though difficult to make, the choice seemed correct. My family's responses to our decision were not entirely positive. Nancy expressed her sincere regret for having to change our plans and said she felt awful about it. Though she tried not to show it too much, my mom felt relieved. As usual, Lester offered encouragement, but Rachel and Zoe remained curiously silent. I explained to everyone that Jake's parents were the only reason behind this decision, not due to any coercion from them. I also established some clear guidelines, saying that I would not put up with any more drama or attempts to dictate our schedule. Fortunately, we were able to keep our deposit since the location we had reserved for June had an opening in August. Additionally, the later date gives us more time to prepare and accumulate funds for some frills that we weren't able to initially afford. Jake has supported me the entire time. He's always been supportive, kind, and patient with me. I'm even more convinced that I want to spend the rest of my life with him after seeing how he manages family conflicts. You know, all this turmoil will be worth it when I get to call you my wife, he said to me last night while we were talking about where to sit. I was reminded of the original purpose of this. Regarding Nancy, our communication has increased. She has been good to her word and has been providing me playlists of songs and decorating suggestions for the wedding. I had no idea we needed to rebuild our relationship, yet it feels like we are. The kids have also been amazing throughout this whole ordeal. Emma quickly began thinking of ways to repurpose her flower girl attire for the later summer date as we informed them of the change in schedule. All Liam was looking forward to was having extra time to work on his ring-bearer walk. Nancy's baby shower is the next important event that takes place the following month. To let her know that I'm as thrilled about her child as I am about my wedding, I'm determined to make it extra special for her. The stress from earlier has somewhat subsided as I've been working with Rachel and Zoe to plan it. I'm feeling a range of feelings as I type this, including relief, excitement, and some lingering concern. Mostly, though, I feel optimistic, wishing for a bright future with Jake, for Nancy's unborn child, and for our family's unity in spite of our disagreements. Update 2. It has been 2 months since my last update, and I'm feeling a lot of different emotions as I write this. Not everything that has transpired has been positive. First, some good news. 3 weeks ago, Nancy gave birth to a stunning baby girl named Sophia. Mother and child are in good health. It's been heartwarming to watch the family come together in support of them. It was amazing to hold my niece for the first time when I was there at the hospital a few hours after Sophia was born. It reminded me of the time when Emma and Liam were born, and I found myself telling Nancy stories about those first few years of parenthood. Jake and I had been quite busy wrapping off our August wedding. We were looking forward to the big day, and everything was going according to plan. At last, we had decided on a color palette, selected the reception's menu, and Jake had even talked me into taking dance classes for our first dance. Emma had been practicing her flower girl walk every day, and Liam had committed his lines for the ring bearer ceremony to memory. The kids were also growing enthusiastic. That is, until a bombshell was dropped on us last week. My 29-year-old cousin Andrea revealed last month that she and her longtime partner, 31-year-old Chris, had eloped. They planned to surprise the family at the next large get-together, so they hadn't notified anyone. Which was also the day of my wedding. I've always been close to Andrea. We are barely 2 years apart in age, and although we were raised as cousins, we were more like sisters. We exchanged secrets, crushes, and outfits. The first person I told when I started dating Ethan in high school was Andrea. Even more than Jake, Andrea helped me take care of the kids and made sure I remembered to eat and sleep when Ethan passed away. So I was first happy for her when she told me about her elopement. Chris and Andrea had been together for a long time, enduring times of isolation and rejection from family members. Chris's history is extremely different from ours. I was aware of their deep love and the length of time they had been waiting for this. However, Andrea then requested if they may announce their union and have a family celebration at our wedding reception. She remarked that everything would be ideal because everyone would already be there, dressed festively and eager to celebrate. Besides, she reasoned, it would deflect some of the attention from Jake and me, which, considering my prior marriage, she believed may make us feel more at ease. It surprised me. I made an effort to gently convey that, even though I was happy for them, I didn't think it was appropriate for them to make such a significant statement at our wedding. I proposed that instead of celebrating their union with a large BBQ at our grandparents' farm, where we used to spend our summers as children, we should organize a separate family get-together. Andrea took this very poorly. She remarked that I was attempting to take up all the attention and called me selfish. She asked why we couldn't share the spotlight, pointing out that we had previously postponed our wedding once. She even said that it shouldn't matter as much to me because this was my second wedding. It hurt more than I let on with that last remark. Even though this was my second wedding, it remained just as significant and essential. In fact, it made everything even more meaningful since I was aware of how fleeting and priceless life and love could be. The whole thing immediately got out of hand. Andrea portrayed me as the bad guy when she told other family members about our chat. A few family members, my Uncle Paul, 57M, and Aunt Linda, 55F, began putting pressure on me to allow Andrea and Chris to make their announcement. They contended that it would enhance the day's specialness and be a lovely instance of family unity. My mother, who I had assumed was at last on my side, said that inviting Andrea to join us for the day would be a kind gesture and would strengthen our family bond. She brought to memory all the occasions when Andrea had supported me, particularly following Ethan's passing. Even Nancy, who had been rather helpful lately, expressed her opinion that it would be a good idea, but I think she was just attempting to maintain the status quo while taking care of a newborn. I felt angry and wounded. I had assumed that our day would finally happen after all the stress around Nancy's pregnancy and the postponement. Jake was really angry. He made the point that it wasn't fair for the family to keep making demands because we had already made one sacrifice. He was especially angry since he thought our connection was not fully understood or respected by the family, and they still treated him like an outsider. Last weekend, during a family BBQ, the situation reached a boiling point. It was to have been a low-key celebration of Sophia's birth. However, it soon devolved into an argumentative discourse on the nuptials. In front of everyone, Andrea attacked me and called me a bridezilla, saying I was trying to ruin her happiness. She brought up the vows we'd made as kids to attend each other's weddings and to share our great occasions. I lost it and told her she shouldn't have eloped if she wanted a lavish wedding celebration. I told her that it wasn't right to use our wedding as a cover for her revelation because she had chosen to keep it a secret. I didn't want to come off as harsh in my words, and the hurt expression on Andrea's face made me regret my scream right away. After the cookout, there was mayhem as family members began to pick sides and fight. I left early with Jake, feeling frustrated and overburdened. We sat in quiet on the way home, the situation weighing heavily on both of us. The children in the rear row were unusually quiet, perhaps sensing the anxiety. I don't know what to do now that our wedding is only 3 weeks away. A part of me wants to refuse to back down and have the wedding of my dreams. From the unique vows we wrote to the specific dance Jake has been practicing with Emma, we've given every detail a lot of attention. Sharing that private time with the announcement of another couple feels terrible. Another part of me wants to scrap everything and elope since I'm so sick of the family strife. Jake and I had discussed taking the kids somewhere serene and lovely to exchange vows without any drama or issues from the family. Jake claims he'll back me no matter what I decide, but I can tell how much this is stressing him out as well. He thinks my family doesn't appreciate our connection, which is why he's angry with their actions. He said last night that he's concerned that I might reconsider marrying him because of all this drama. I told him that wasn't the case at all, and that, in fact, the entire experience has strengthened my belief that he is the person I want to spend the rest of my life with. I've been able to witness the depth of his love and commitment via his patience, understanding, and constant support throughout everything. Though I like my family, I'm beginning to question if the stress is really worth it. Should I comply with Andrea's desire to maintain order? Shall we proceed with our plans and run the danger of escalating family strife? Or should we just give up and run away? I had no idea that organizing a wedding would split my family up this much. Any guidance on how to approach this circumstance would be highly valued. Update 3: A few weeks have passed since my last update, and I'm now sitting down to discuss what transpired. Following extensive introspection and lengthy deliberations with Jake, we ultimately opted to adhere to our first wedding itinerary. We came to the realization that it would never end if we continued to bow to familial pressure. We make it very evident to everyone that the purpose of our wedding is to celebrate our love and begin a new chapter in our lives. Drama or attempts to take over the occasion would not be accepted. We were surprised that this tough approach appeared to be effective. The majority of the family distanced themselves, and even Andrea issued an apology for her actions, though I believe Linda played a role in it. I had a lengthy, emotional talk with Andrea during which we both acknowledged that we had allowed our feelings to control us. After our honeymoon, we decided to throw a different celebration to commemorate her marriage. Though busy, the week before the wedding was largely uneventful. Then, we received an unexpected call 2 days prior to the big day. A surprise airline strike had resulted in the cancellation of Jake's parents' trip. We were devastated for them as well, especially because all of the family strife stemmed from their decision to postpone their wedding. However, Jake had a thought. In order to allow his parents to participate online, he proposed that we stream the ceremony live and have a laptop available at the reception. Kevin, our 17-year-old nephew who is tech knowledgeable, offered to take care of everything technical. Although it wasn't perfect, it was the best we could do given the situation. On the big day of the wedding, despite my anxiety, everything went smoothly. All of the family tension vanished as I walked down the aisle and saw Jake's face. There weren't any dry eyes in the house or on the live feed after our emotional vows. Emma was a wonderful flower girl, and Liam carried the rings the entire time without dropping them, though everyone thought it was cute that he stumbled a little bit as he went down the aisle. Jake's parents were on a large screen at the reception, where they gave a heartfelt speech that made everyone laugh and cry. Although it wasn't the same as seeing them in person, it was still really special. Even more adorable, though a little odd at first, Jake's mother was able to dance virtually with her son. I was relieved that Andrea and Chris complied with our requests and made no significant announcements. Rather, they drew us aside in private to offer us their congratulations and extend their apology for the previous incident. In a few months, we will assist them in organizing a family celebration to commemorate their marriage. Nancy was able to attend the ceremony with her infant daughter, Sophia, who behaved herself surprisingly well. Nancy's proud smile as she presented her kid to the group made me realize how ridiculous our earlier argument had been. During the reception, we had a moment where we realized how much we had both grown over the previous few months. My parents delivered the day's biggest surprise. They gave us a scrapbook full of pictures and notes from family members who were unable to attend, some of whom we hadn't spoken to in a long time. It was their way of demonstrating that our family remained close in spite of the recent disputes. That act of kindness meant more to me than any costly present could have. I was so happy and relieved when Jake and I danced our first dance together as a married couple. We had emerged from the family drama storm stronger than ever. As I turned to face our giggling, dancing family and friends, I knew that all the tension and disagreement had been worth it for this one moment of unadulterated joy. Now that we are embarking on our honeymoon and beginning our new life together, Jake and I are excited. We are happy for the love and support we experienced on our wedding day and look forward to the future. Although, as Emma had long predicted, they still don't refer to Jake as dad, Emma and Liam are happy that he is now their official stepdad. Thank you to everyone who helped and encouraged us along the way. During a difficult moment, your remarks encouraged me to remain resilient and loyal to who I am. If all this has taught me anything, it's that love, whether it be for your family or your partner, sometimes necessitates sticking to your moral convictions.